Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sublimation graphics and tutorials. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss any of our new videos. Tonight, I am super excited to be sharing a tutorial on two different items that I am putting together in a gift set for someone that I care about. We are going to be sublimating the faux leather journal from Single J Sublimation, as well as two faux leather luggage tags from Amazon. You'll be able to find the links for everything that we use today in the video description, so be sure to head there to check those out. We are creating a cute gift set for my travel-loving best friend who is about to elope. This is going to be my elopement gift to them. I wanted to create something that was meaningful and beneficial for them, so a travel journal with some new luggage tags featuring their new last name is going to be the perfect gift. We will start, as always, by getting our measurements and then setting up our design to print in Affinity Designer. We'll be printing with our Epson F570 Pro from Johnson's Plastics Plus, and of course, pressing on blue, the Fusion IQ, our Fusion IQ heat press. So let's go ahead and turn this around and have a look at what we're working with. Here is a look at what we are going to be sublimating today. First up, we have the faux leather journal from Single J's Sublimation. Journals are easily in my top 10 favorite products that you can create an entire collection and niche around for your business. Journals become increasingly popular year after year as people choose to use them for everything from health and fitness to personal improvement to sobriety to Bible studies and so on. The market for these is endless, and if there was one thing I would recommend you give it a try, it is this, only if that's your niche and a niche that you are passionate about and want to sell to, of course. These journals, we sublimate just the cover, and you'll notice that the paper comes detached. This is just backing for the adhesive, which will then adhere to both sides of this. And then this little piece is just to help ensure that you get a nice even transfer, because without it, we got a little bit of a dip in here, and on your heat press, that can cause some problems. You might end up with some white or some uneven transfer along the spine. So this little piece just pops in there and then makes it a nice, easy transfer. So these journals are available through Single J Sublimation, and they are linked in the video description. Next up, I have these faux leather luggage tags. These are from Amazon. Now, me personally, I think that the faux leather are way better. I had a hard time finding them from any of the major sublimation suppliers. Most of them had MDF luggage tags, which that's totally fine. A lot of people like those. I prefer these, and also because my friend's husband is military and they're going to be moving a lot, I wanted to make sure it was going to be easy for them to have these luggage tags for the long haul and be able to change out their address. So double purpose here with this. So again, these were just from Amazon. They came as a set of 4. That is linked in the video description as well. As always, the first thing that we need to do is get our measurements so we know what size to make our designs. I'm going to start with the luggage tag, and that is right at 4 inches tall. And for our width, 3 13/16. Sorry, no, just kidding. 2 13/16. All right, and then let's go ahead and get our journal cover. We are looking at 12 1/8. By 8 3/8 tall. So if you guys are wondering, this little tape measure with the fractions on it, this is from Walmart. It's just Hyper Tough brand. This is linked in the video description as well as the digital one for those of you who don't like to have to convert fractions to decimals. Keep in mind that if you don't know how to read the lines on a ruler and you don't know the decimal equivalents, there is a free printable PDF ruler guide on my website. That is linked in the video description as well. Now, the only thing that we need to do is adjust our Epson F570 for the different paper size. Because this is 12 inches, over 12 inches wide, we're not going to be able to fit this on a letter size page. I'm going to go ahead and use an 11 by 17 page, and that'll allow me to print my luggage tag designs together for it all to be on one page, nice and easy. So I've already loaded the 11 by 17 paper into my Epson F570 printer. If you're loading paper, the white side, the printable side, is what faces you. I am using Printer Jack, I believe. Yes, I'm using Printer Jack sublimation paper, the blue one. And all we need to do is come over here to our screen. And we're going to select, let's zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. We're going to select paper setting, where it says auto sheet feeder. We're going to select that. We're going to choose change paper type and paper size. We're going to come to paper size. We're going to change it to 11 by 17. And then I currently have it set on textile. We're going to change it to rigid because we are not doing a textile. And that's it. We are now ready to print. So let's pop over to Affinity Designer and go ahead and get our design set up and ready to print on our Epson F570 for this very cute travel lovers gift set for their elopement. We are going to be setting up our file for print in Affinity Designer on a Windows laptop. If you are using the Mac version of this software, there are a little subtle nuances, but overall you will follow the same steps. You will also follow the same steps regardless of whether you're working in version 1 or version 2. Version 2 of Affinity Designer is simply an improved upon version, but overall the layout is the same, the tools are the same. There's a little bit more colorful icons and new features, and this is where all future updates to the software in terms of tools and features will happen. We want to start by opening up a document that is the size of the page we are printing on. Our journal cover was 12 inches wide, which means that it is too big to fit on a letter size page. So if we knock it up to the next size, 11 by 17, we should have enough room for both our journal cover and our luggage tag print to all print on one page. You will come to File, New or New Document if you're using a Mac, and we're going to select that 11 by 17 option from our document setup panel. If you are using version 1 of Affinity Designer, your document panel is going to look a little bit different. Instead of a drop down, you have tabs across the top, and instead of a list, you have a grid of your icons for each page and anything you might have named. Your layout, color, margins, bleed, etc. is going to appear over in the right sidebar on version 1 as well. So when we get that selected, we just want to make a few quick adjustments. If you need to adjust your measurements, you can do that here. Your measurement type, your unit of measurement. Next, we're going to select our color tab. We always want to make sure that for sublimation, we are set to the RGB/8 color format. Sublimation is the exception to the rule. Almost all other types of printing use CMYK. We do not. It's important to make sure that you do have this set up correctly to get the most accurate colors. The most current color profile for any newer model computer or printer is going to be this sRGB IEC followed by these numbers. If you happen to be using a Mac or an older device and you notice that your colors seem slightly off, you can try the alternative, which is the previous profile, which is Adobe RGB 1998. Now, keep in mind that your color profile is a completely different component than your ICC profile. Any ICC profile settings, those are set when you send your file to print. Nowhere else. Document setup is universal. ICC and printer settings is related to your printer and ink specifically. I'm going to come over to margins and I'm going to deselect because I don't need the margins. And also on the color tab, I want to check that transparent background because I like to have a transparent background. When you have all of your settings ready, click Create. Now this is pretty quick. We just need to import our design and make sure it is sized accordingly for our product that we're going to be sublimating. I will select the Place Image tool, which is this little picture icon in both version 1 and version 2. When you hover over the tools, it will tell you the name. I'm going to hold down my Shift key to select both of the pictures that I want to import and select Open. When you see that little downward arrow with the portal, that means you're ready to place it on your document. Because these should be about the right size, I'm going to just one click to place them. If I was importing something that might import much too big, that's when you would choose to click and drag when you have that little down arrow with the portal. So I'm going to move the luggage tag one down here, and let's bring the actual journal cover into play. You'll notice that it's cut off of the edge of my document because it's too wide at this angle. But if you want to see what's off the edge of your document, just come to Window, just kidding, just come to View, View mode, and deselect Clip to Canvas. This is in both version 1 and version 2. And then you can see anything that's off of your canvas. So with my journal cover selected, I want to come down to my transform panel in the bottom right corner, and I want to make sure my measurements are set accordingly. First things first, you always want to make sure that you lock the aspect ratio. When in version 2, unlocked looks like this broken link. Locked looks like a chain link. In version 1, this looks like a figure 8. And when it's locked, you have little arms coming off the edge of your figure 8 or your infinity symbol and connecting these two boxes. So just for reference with either version that you are using. The height of our journal cover was 8 3/8. So that is 8.375. I always try and make things 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch bigger in both directions to ensure that it gives a full bleed look. So if we were to take 8.375 and add 0.125 for 1/8 of an inch, we would land on 8.5. So really, I don't need to make any adjustment here. In terms of the width was 12.125. And if I add another 125, it would have been 12 1/4. If you don't have something that's measured accurately and you want to make sure you add that bleed, just come to one of your measurements, enter in the measurement. So this would have been 12.125, hit that plus sign, and then enter in how much you want to add. So if I wanted to do 1/8 of an inch, it would be 0.125, enter, and there I have my measurements. Now, obviously I can't print it this way because it's hanging off the sides of my page, so we need to rotate it. I will come up here to my rotation tools, select rotate counterclockwise, and then just lower it away from the edge there so we don't end up with it cut off. Boom, that one is ready to go. I always like to center things. That green line lets me know that it's centered. The green line is called a snapping guide, and it is activated when you have this magnet selected. Now let's come to our luggage tag. And same thing, we're going to come to our transform panel. We want to make sure that we have the aspect ratio locked. We want to check our measurements. So our original height was 4 inches and the width was 2 13/16, which is 2.81. So we're just about right here as well. I'm just going to come to the height. I'm going to enter in that 4 plus 0.125, hit enter. It automatically adjusted the width because we have it locked. And that was all that we had to do, was just give it a little buffer, bigger measurements so that we can make sure it is full bleed when we print it. This angle for this is not working on this page, so I'm going to rotate this one as well. We'll come up to our rotation tools, choose rotate counterclockwise. And then I'm going to right click on it in my layers panel and select duplicate. You can also use Control or Command J, and then just click and drag to bring that out on the page so that I have 2 since I am making 2 luggage tags. That was all we had to do to get everything set up to print. We imported our graphic, we made sure our document was set to our page size, and we resized everything with a little bit extra so that we can ensure we have a nice full bleed print for our products. Our last step is to send our file to print. We will start by coming to File, Print, and then we're going to select our printer from the drop-down. I'm going to be using my Epson SureColor F57D Pro Sublimation printer. Then you want to click on Properties and make any adjustments that you need. So for example, this shows that my document size is 8.5 by 11, which it is not. So we can click on Settings, go ahead and find our 11 by 17, click OK. My paper source is going to be my auto sheet feeder because I do have those 11 by 17 inch pages in there. And if you choose use printer settings, you can just click acquire info. Otherwise, you can go ahead and select either textile or rigid, but it will need to match what you have on your printer already. So if you select the wrong one, you'll get this little error message. So we want rigid because we are doing a rigid surface. Now we don't need to make any other changes because by default it already has mirror image selected. So we're really ready to go. I don't need the print preview, so I'm going to deselect that and then just click OK, and it will send it off to print. Now I've already gone ahead and separated my transfers for the luggage tags from that of the journal cover. The reason being is because the luggage tags are actually quite a bit thicker than the journal cover, so pressing these at the same time is not going to be a good option. We would end up with potentially an uneven transfer on our journal cover. We don't want that to happen, so we'll just press them separate. So we're going to go ahead and take our transfer. Let's go ahead and put this piece in first. All you have to do is sort of bend the cover back, pop it in there, and let it flap back forward. It should be completely flush, so make sure it's completely flush. We'll add just some heat tape to secure it, and then we'll go ahead and line this up on our transfer, getting it as centered as possible. You know, we went ahead and had that little bit of extra bleed so that we can make sure that this bleeds all the way out to the edges of our notebook. So I believe we're good. Just make sure I'm straight here. All right. Never hurts to put a paperweight on your item while you add that tape, just to ensure you don't accidentally shift anything. And all right, we're good. So let's go ahead and grab a couple pieces of tape. My paperweight did not work for me that time. Grab a couple pieces of tape, double and triple check to make sure you're lined up. And then you can just go ahead and add them around. I always like to rub my fingernail right along the edge of something like this to make sure that I've got a nice good seal there, so that when I move it, I don't accidentally shift anything. Now you don't necessarily need boatloads of tape, but I like to make sure I am adequate. Okay. And now because we do have a little bit of bleed over our edge, that's how we designed it, we want to make sure we put paper on the bottom and on the top of our substrate. So let's come on over to Blue the Fusion IQ. And we're going to grab 2 pieces of blowout paper to put on our platen here. There's one up. Carefully put our notebook cover on there, just as we always do. Substrate on the bottom, transfer facing down. Well, not always, but on these items. Put our other sheet on top, slide it back, and go ahead and press it. So we are doing this at 400 degrees for 55 seconds. You're going to do 50 to 60 depending on the paper that you're using. We are using max pressure. You can see it's at 9. it's showing that it's at the maximum pressure, especially with the paper added. So usually I try and set it for one number lower, because once that blowout paper is added, it is going to register slightly higher. So we're using our Stahl's Hotronix Fusion IQ today. Hands down, one of the best purchases I've made. This heat press is phenomenal. It runs so smoothly. I love that you can preset your time and temps for different substrates into its fun little computer. And honestly, it's just so fluid and easy to use. And I love the pull-out drawer, which this will be done in just about 5 seconds. All right, pull on out. Give you guys a good visual here. I'm gonna grab some heat gloves because I know this is gonna be toasty. And we just wanna go ahead and hold that down. It's always my process. Hold it down with my hand and then rip off the paper. Woo. And we'll go ahead and flip it over, get that tape off. We can just stick it right on here. Now don't worry about the cardboard interior there ripping, because it's going to be covered up. And you can take out that spine piece as well. You can always choose to save it, but they do come with one for every notebook, so I don't really see a reason. So we'll get that out of the way. Have a good look. Our notebook cover is beautiful. So let's set that aside and get our transfer out of the way and go ahead and pop back over here to set up those luggage tags. I'm very excited for this gift, you guys. All right, luggage tags, same process. We need to loosen our pressure a little bit because luggage tags are thicker, so I'm gonna do that. Okay. And same thing. We wanna go ahead and line them up, center them. Ooh, take the paper out if you use these ones. We don't wanna cook that little piece of paper in there. There we go. This little piece of paper doesn't want to come out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and line these up. Tape them down just as we did. Make sure they're nice and centered. Never hurts to look at it from all sides. Because we only add a little bit of edge, sometimes it's hard to see if you actually got it. Better to double check and make sure that you actually have it bleeding edge to edge than discover you've wasted a substrate. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as being too sure. I would much rather waste a few cent piece of paper and ink than end up having to waste an entire substrate. All right. So same thing, we're gonna make sure that we do our paper front and back, but with this one, since it's so small, we are just going to fold it in half inside of here. So we'll flip it down, fold it in half, give that a good crease. Slide it back in. And get that going. Again, 400 degrees for 55 seconds is what I'm doing. You're gonna do 50 to 60 depending on your paper. Some paper does have a little bit faster release, and that can allow you to save 5 or 10 seconds on your transfer. This, of course, is excluding jet cold DHL paper, which has the fastest release, cutting your transfer time almost in half. So we've got just about 30 seconds on these. And then we'll go ahead and assemble our little gift set. All the links for everything that we are using today is listed in the video description, so be sure to check that out. Again, we have printed with our Epson F570 Pro sublimation printer, which prints up to 24 inches wide and also has both a roll feeder and separate sheet feeder. And we are using our Stahl's Fusion IQ. Whoop, slipped right off back there. Looks like our pressure was a little high because it pushed to the back, but that's okay. We'll grab that, pull them off. Let's get that tape off. Have a look. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So all we have left to do is just assemble our notebook. Well, and put our luggage tags back together. So for luggage tags, it's very easy. We're just going to slide our little papers in. And then add on these little tags. Oh, I got it backwards. Maybe. I feel like I'm unsure of how these are supposed to attach. Perhaps it goes this way. I was looking at this stitching, this like fake stitching, and so I was thinking that that went on the outside, which I feel like it should. So that's what we're gonna go with. And then just pop little pieces on in there. All right, so we've got our luggage tags. And then let's go ahead and take our journal cover. Pull apart our paper. And then this has a little ribbon that can be used as a ruler. So just make sure you do have that at the top. We are going to center this right in the middle. If you have any kind of ripped piece like that, just kind of pull it off, get rid of it. We want to make sure that we are not going too far above the little edge here. Okay, and then we just need to peel off our backing. Make sure you're nicely adjusted. You may need to adjust it again. Just remember, this is like measure twice, cut once. It's the same concept. So we're gonna go ahead and get that first one up nice and smooth, rub it really good, and then flip to the other side. The other side's a bit easier because we already got the first one down. Peel that off. Give it a nice little stretch as you do it, and press it on down. And there you have it. There's our little gift set for my travel-loving friend's elopement. This is such a great little set to put together for the travel lover in your life, or if you just want to cater to that market. I look forward to seeing all of the fun things that my friend and her husband will do with this. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, all of the links for everything we used is in the video description. Hope you have a great rest of your evening.